Can everybody hear me? Can you guys hear me on Zoom too? Do I have my camera and mic on? Is the camera, is the mic on in Zoom? I don't think it's on in Zoom. Is my microphone on in Zoom? Is anybody in Zoom to let me know? I guess it's not. Don't worry about it. Okay, for those of you who are listening on YouTube, I apologize for not being here yesterday. I was, I've been sick with this sinusitis for the past month, really. Y'all just don't know, I am severely sick with it. And the medicine they got me on, I hadn't, they got me on 7 different medicines, literally. And one of them is a steroid that prevents me from sleeping. And the doctor said I will eventually, my body will on its own eventually pass out. And I eventually did pass out yesterday. And I just woke up today. I slept 12 hours. I feel a little better. My head is not as congested. This part, all of my sinuses are infected. They're still infected. I'm still taking antibiotics. I'm done with the steroid, and I'm done with the that other pill for the UTI. I'm done with that too, but I'm still on the antibiotics that they got me on. But I feel it's working because the headache is not as severe. And stress contributes too. Y'all know I'm stressed out of this world. I done lost about a lot of weight too, which is good. That's the menopause pills that work. And I didn't take my menopause pills in 2 days, but it's working because I done lost so much weight. It's ridiculous. It's good because I'm trying to get back to my normal weight before I picked it up. So I apologize for yesterday's 9:30 class. I fell asleep. My brother came and got his kids, and I fell asleep. I guess the stress of the kids being gone. They were good kids too, but it's just that when you're sick, living in a small apartment, ain't no room. My brother's got big mansions. I got a little bitty apartment. So I crashed. My grandson's still here with me. Hassan? Hassan? Where's my grandson? Hassan? Yeah. You still here? Where you at, baby? You all right? Yeah. Come here. He's my favorite now. Jayla's here. He's my favorite now. Jayla's here. Where's she at? She's down. I seen her pull up. She'll bring the cup. I want to see her and the kid. Yeah, he's my favorite now. Yeah, Jayla ain't no more. Nope, they talking about this Jayla's still my favorite. No, Jayla's been replaced with the little boy. Come here. I'm waiting on Dr. McBride too. Y'all, he's not here yet. He'll be joining us. Where is Dr. McBride, y'all? He's usually here on time. Come here, son. How you feeling though? You feel all right still? That whatever this stuff is your mother had me drink, that stuff was good. And it worked like she said. So remind me to drink 3 or 4 glasses of that each day. Why are you putting that jacket on again? Baby. But it's not hot outside. It's raining. Is it raining already? Yeah. How are we going to make some money if it's raining? It ain't going to be raining at that time. It's about to stop raining in 30 minutes. He is so cute. You are so cute. Yeah, he's replaced her. Yeah, she's not the favorite no more. Nope, she's been replaced. Yeah. Dr. McBride, his class should be starting up. It's in my purse, baby. It's over here. Yeah, he's very mild-mannered. Exactly. Sister Sunnah. It's one of the sisters from the mosque that knows you know, that knows of us. You don't know her? She knows of you.
Ooh, so I have some fame.
Yeah, you got some fame. Look at your little cute self. Give me a kiss. I feel better, so I can kiss you now.
I hope they're not lip gloss on you.
I feel better. I can kiss my grandson. Huh?
Oh, I thought there was a
No, I ain't got no. I don't have no lip. I'm the Gwen Stefani.
I'll be back.
Where's Dr. McBride? He didn't cancel his class for the day, nothing, did he? AY. AY. Is my mic on in this Zoom room? Oh. AY. Dr. McBride didn't cancel his class or nothing, did he?
I don't think so, no.
Well, where's Dr. McBride at? Is it time for his into the
It is time, yes. It's late.
Dr. Jamali, are you here? Dr. Jamali, where's Dr. McBride? You know, he was a little late last time too. Is it the time for the prayer or something? Yeah, I do. I feel better, Amir. A lot better, Sister Amir. It's just that, yeah, that medicine, it took like the doctor said, it would take a couple of weeks. He said it was the worst acute, what you call it, I had that he'd seen in a long time. I walked around like that. He didn't know it was bad, but I'm breathing. My asthma's under control. I feel a lot better today. MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar. Because I'm telling y'all, I was so sick. I hadn't been sick like that since before I retired from my job. I mean, it's been 3 years since I was sick like that, man. Whew. I would have rather been sick with COVID than that, because with COVID, you get better after 3 days. That was 3 weeks. Yeah. And I'm still on anti. Yeah, I'm going to be on it for a minute. For a minute. I'm going to be in it for a minute. I'm still weak. Yeah, it's time of the humidity. Yeah. Yeah, let me text him and see. Because he's pretty late. Now, I did get a text message from Brother Youssef, guys. Write this down, AY. Well, don't worry about it. If he doesn't show up, I'm going to do my class. So this is good for the sisters, y'all driving home from work. This will give y'all enough time. Hey, Sister Annette, this is enough time for you to drive home from work. Y'all can take y'all's time, because if he doesn't show up, I'll do a class on Wala Bara. But I got a message from Brother Youssef. He said he's gonna cancel his class tomorrow and next week. So Brother Youssef's class will be canceled tomorrow and next week. Write that down, AY, so I don't forget, because of my, my sickness. But let me text Brother Dr. McBride, because Dr. McBride is usually here. Hold on. Hold on. Where's... Yeah, walaikum salam, Sister Margaret. Y'all take y'all time. Jamali, I see you in there. Jamali, you didn't contact Dr. McBride. Where's he at? Hold on. Where's Dr. McBride's phone number? Y'all know I can't think because I'm all clogged up still. McBride. I can't think. I've got so many phone numbers in here. And I got them in codes. What's the code for Dr. McBride, y'all? What's his code name? Well, yeah, Fatima, I'm a little better. I am better. It's just that that all this antibiotic. What's Dr. McBride's code name in my phone? Oh, there he is. Yeah, you got a code name in my phone. I couldn't remember it.
Sorry, I was running a little late.
There he is. It's okay, Dr. Dramali. He's here.
Really?
He's here. He's here. Because I got him as a coach. Oh, and my other grandbaby. Now, my two nephews left, and now my great grandbaby here. Assalamu alaikum, baby. You're going to come see me? We're going to go down to the pool. Oh, she knows how to, she's 2 years old and knows how to swim. So I want to, awesome. Yeah, I want to see her swim. Oh, she's 1 year old. Well, I'm all man. I want to see her swim in the pool. That's why they brought her over. She can swim in 12 feet too. She can swim in 12 feet. They teach the babies that age how to swim in 12 feet.
They jump in.
She actually. I'm gonna see this, Dr. McBride. You know how they had her swimming as a newborn. You know how they do that thing.
Yeah.
And so now my mother got to see her swim as a newborn, but I didn't. So they brought her over so I can see her actually swim. Well,
they say babies, that right after birth, they used to be in the fluid anyway. So, boop, you put them in and they immediately go to doggy style, and you just have to teach them how to lie on their backs. There's a whole program for like newborns, which is amazing.
Yeah, she's been in it since birth. So she got her little swimsuit on. You should see her. And we're gonna go down to my apartment complex got the pool, and they're gonna show me her swimming. So I'm gonna video her because this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, because look how she looking at me. You shy? Oh, where's your Kimar to match your swimsuit? She ain't got a Kimar. All right, guys. Everybody here now? We all streaming, right? Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam. Yeah, thank you, guys. I do feel a little better. I'm still on all this medication, but the steroids is completed, and also for that urinary thing is completed, but I'm on these different antibiotics. Okay, Dr. McBride, turn your camera. Let's see how he looks on his camera.
All right, let's see. No tie today. There. Oh, let me tilt that. There. Are we good?
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. No Mr. Clean today.
Not really. I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna give the host rights since I'm gonna go down to the pool too. I'm gonna take the laptop with me, but I'm gonna go give host rights to AY. I'm gonna give you host rights. You here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, make me co-host. So when Jamali come in, okay, co-host me. Okay, let me get the introduction. Inna alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Everybody's here now. I want to welcome everybody to our highly acclaimed series on the human brain and how it connects to the heart, and how Allah mentions in several verses of the Quran about that forelock of the brain. Well, here's Dr. Daniel Abdurrahan McBride, and if you guys have been looking at the shorts I put out, his shorts are all over the internet. People are learning a lot, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. He's going to continue today with his talk about the brain, the forelock, how to strengthen your brain, how to strengthen that connection with Allah through the heart and brain. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. McBride, and inshallah, you can begin whenever you are ready.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. The other day we covered the whole frontal lobe, the orbital frontal cortex, the dorsolateral prefrontal, all the executive functions. And you can use letters, numbers and letters and words really stimulate this left hemisphere, particularly your speaking areas, your Broca areas. I like numbers also. It actually adds just a little bit of a different challenge to the brain, but it's still really cool. And digit span is really good for both words, well, numbers in particular, words and letters, but it also helps your verbal centers. It's good for short-term memory and what we call working memory. And the other things that we talked about, and we have hand movement and eye movement. Today, I would like to include, excuse me, I would like to include hand movement. And with today's testing, I would recommend working with a partner, spouse, family member, whatever takes place there. Because I'd like to talk about both the parietal lobes and the temporal lobes, or the temple area. Okay, so the parietal lobes are just above that. And then you've got the temporal lobes here. The parietal lobes are really cool because, and I haven't figured out, I hesitate because I haven't tied it completely together, but as Muslims, we are ordered to lower our gaze. It's about not just looking down and not knowing what's around you, but the looking down part. Actually, when we talk about the parietal lobes, and my son actually recommended that I start using my model brain that's in the background. So we're going to try this today. Here's your frontal lobe, and you can see literally everything in front of this line here, this what we call this sulcus. Everything here is frontal lobe, and then you've got the parietal lobe here, you've got the temporal lobes down here, you've got the occiput, or your vision centers, and they feed forward, and then you've got your cerebellum and your brain stem, and it opens up in half, and you can see on the inside with cool numbers and memory, hippocampus, all that stuff. But we're going to stay out here today. So last week, we literally covered this whole area right here. Now today, like I said, I'd like to talk about the parietal lobe and the temporal lobes, okay? And the parietal lobes are for a real easy description, these are your awareness lobes, all right? These are the areas that tell you about your inner awareness. That's the baby stuff, which is not baby stuff, but it's really easy to see in children that when the baby is doing things, it's literally all about themselves. But they're very aware of their surroundings. They're learning from their surroundings. They pick up on, they love movement. When they're looking at your face, it's not so much at the beginning facial recognition, it's more about movement recognition. They're watching the movement of your eyebrows, they're watching the movement of your face, showing the teeth, the smiling, the frowning, the expressions. When I have patients when they bring the babies in, if I'm not treating the baby at the time, a lot of babies will pitch a fit. The minute the mother or the father lays down and they don't see their face anymore on the table, lose their minds like clockwork. So I go right into being distracting as much as I can, depending on the child, whether they respond or not. But the idea is I literally use their awareness, and right there, it's almost all vision and parietal lobe, okay? Awareness. I use that, and I move a lot, I talk a lot, I change my voice a lot to give them new stimulation. If I'm moving the table with a patient on it, they start eyeballing the movement of my hand and the table. It's really, and then when I change my tones, and then when the parent rolls over and I do my thing, the movement is really important. And that's literally, if I can say it this way, it's not as precise and scientific, but if I can say this as their awareness lobes, they are very aware of their surroundings with that. And when they are newborns, like this sister was talking about her grandchild, at newborn, they've got what we've talked about before, their primitive reflexes. That is learning these, and they just look at them. They see them move, they look at yours. They don't know their hands yet. And eventually they learn, holy cow, they actually move when I want them to. They do things, then everything goes into the mouth, doesn't it? And even the feet at that age, everything goes into the mouth. Very sensitive, very highly innervated. And that's why. So then they learn themselves. They learn what makes them feel good. They learn, hopefully, that's one of the things about ADHD and severe, when you start moving out farther and farther on the spectrum, If it's a weak right hemisphere and a dominant, super dominant left, strong hemisphere, they don't pick up on the inner awareness that is more right hemisphere, okay? And they would be externally driven, but then they don't understand facial expressions. They don't understand feelings. Sometimes they can't, when it's severe enough, they don't even feel themselves. So how can they feel how to move their mouths, how to move their tongue, how to do anything? Facial expressions, what does that mean? I think I've mentioned it before with the idea that a lot of autistic people, adults too, a lot of autistic people spend more time with vision tests. They spend more time looking at the mouth moving, because if you don't understand expressions, you just watch the mouth to see that, yes, there's the voice, there's the information, there's what's coming out. Others, what we call neurodivergent, neurotypicals tend to watch the whole face, and it scans, and it goes from eyes to mouth to smiles to up above to below to side, back and forth, eyes, mouth, up, down. So neurotypicals, we tend to do that. If the farther over you are on the spectrum, the less attention you pay to the whole face, you start to go down to just the mouth. And then it becomes, you don't even have to look. You just hear the voice. I've told this story before. A mother was correcting her son and telling him to look at me look when you're being spoken to. And I knew his background. I knew him. And I politely said, you don't have to. And I reminded the mother, I said, he responds immediately. He's paying attention to me. He just has no need to look at me. And I don't have any problems with that. And slowly but surely, he started coming in by himself, or, his mother could wait out in the lobby because he was a young teenager. And he literally, and he had his pattern. He'd be in the chair waiting for me to come into the room. Real great kid. I like him a lot. He'd be in the chair. He'd be sitting there. He'd have his slides on. He was there, and his pattern of behavior and his posture, and he was very, very structured. And then I'd walk in. He'd immediately stand up, and at first he'd wait for me to say something. Then he'd stand up and start. He'd slide his shoes off exactly the same way. He'd slide them to the same spot next to the chair. And then when he realized after the first visit alone, he realized how much I walk around the table. So after that visit, he literally every time stand up, slide his shoes off, slide his shoes over and back behind the front leg of the chair so that I didn't have to worry about tripping over them, because I slid them back once. Every visit after that, he'd slide the sandals out of the way. He'd wait for me. The first couple of visits, he waited for me to say, go ahead and lie down. After that, his routine, he'd sit, I'd walk into the room, he'd stand up, slide the shoes off exactly the same way, right next to each other, slide them over, slide them back, lay down on this table the same way. We'd talk. We even laughed and joked sometimes. He started to pick up on my humor. He learned it, and everything went well. And that was actually improving his awareness and his own self-awareness, because shortly after starting care with us, and a lot of the things we do at the office, shortly after starting care with us, he literally started working out with his father. And he started to become his conversation started becoming more and more about how he was working out, how he was exercising. It was really pretty cool. And the reason I mention this, and we talk about the parietal lobes, is because the more you move, the more you strengthen your brain. You really do. It's simple brains or simple nervous system, simple movement. Complicated brains, complicated movement. Or the more complicated your movement has to be, the more complicated your brain has to be to do those movements. And our postures, running around on two legs, even monkeys and gorillas tend to do four for the most part. Two legs changes everything. The balance, the center, the automatic movements that your brain has to be aware of. The minute I raise up my hand, my center of gravity, if I reach out, it shifts forward. So now my body has to compensate and keep me from going with that weight or that center of gravity movement. They automatically tighten up behind me and they balance to my right arm, then both arms, then closer, then farther away. So that inner awareness develops. And then once we become aware of what makes us happy, what makes us sad, what hunger is, what pleasant smells, what unpleasant smells are, then we can actually understand how other people feel. And the parietal lobes, hugely important for our awareness centers, both inside and outside. Then we jump back to how I started with lower your gaze with vision. When you look down, in this case, all I'm going to do is tilt my eyes down, okay? So I lower my gaze. Now, that vision, when I lower, is more stimulating to the parietal lobes. Remember how I talked about vision crossing over? It hits the same side, but some of it also crosses over so that both sides of your brain get it. The same thing happens with up and down visual movements. When I look down, the whole brain gets it, it fires back to the occiput and the back of your head. Then it starts coming forward and it goes to different areas. Now, what happens here is looking down or the parietal lobes. Looking down stimulates parietal function. Then add to that the parietal lobes. When the vision hits the occiput and comes forward, your parietal lobes are the where is it part of your vision. Believe it or not, this area and your temples, that's the what is it area, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Where is it? So you hear a noise, it fires in, immediately you start looking around and you try to pick up the movement, the change of shape, you're playing a game and it's catch. Where is that? What's being thrown to me or at me? How fast is it coming in? But where is it? That's parietal lobe function. Where is it? Then you got your temporal function. What is it? It's a baseball and it's coming in as a fastball. Now, if I don't have a glove, I'm not trying to catch it, right? It's coming in. What is it? What's the speed? Your brain is also saying, where is it? Where is it going to hit me? How do I duck out of the way, right? So that's how it all works together. You've got where is it? What is it? And then you can also look at when we do testing and training, now that you have this background with the testing and training, and this is for educational purposes only again, you can literally train in where is it? In this case, I'm sitting here, and that's why I'd like a partner, because you'll know where your hand is, okay? And what's really cool is you can also tie in a little bit of temporal function with sound. So you've got a snap, and remember, I'm on this side, okay? So it's actually firing over here. It's going to cross over. It'd be ideal if I could use my right hand to reach for it, okay? Because my right hearing stimulates left function, left controls right body. So there you go. Imagine then in this case, I'm going to snap this finger over here. That's going to come in this ear. It's going to cover the whole brain, but especially over to the left side for processing. And then my left brain is going to tell this right hand where that sound is. And what you do is, in this case, I'll close my eyes, but then I know where I am. So I'm going to reach up. Every time it snaps, you reach to it, okay? And that would be parietal lobe functioning with where is it to sound, okay? Or if you don't want sound, you can actually train it in. Again, I'm using my left hand, and I'm working with my right hand, though, in my left hemisphere, okay? So I'm going to use my left hand to reach. Now, there it is. I'm looking at you guys, peripheral vision, I touch it. Or you can look at it, train it in, move your arm around, train it in. Now, someone else is out there, right? So then pretend my eyes are closed. My eyes are closed now. Now I'm touching, and it's out there, and I'm doing my thing. Whoops, I missed, didn't I? So I'm doing my thing. And then pretend it's your spouse or family member. Now what you do is you'll do it eyes open, train it in. There it is. Come off your hand, come from your shoulder, come from your head, train it in. You know where it is. You have this mental picture. Now, without teasing each other, Now the person that's doing the touching closes their eyes. Now it's touch, 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 touch. That's going to be a stimulation mainly of your parietal lobe. Of course, there's some cerebellum to be smooth movement so I don't overshoot it or hit it, hit it hard or come up short. There's balanced, smooth movement. But the main thing I was doing was stimulating my left hemisphere with right-sided movement. Now we can do the same thing. Now I would stimulate my right hemisphere by using my left hand to do the same thing. Does that make sense? So to include stimulation of the parietal lobes, I really recommend a lot of where is it stuff and awareness of what's going on around you. With the temporal, and then finish with lower field of vision. So you could actually, if you wanted to, not just up here, but then move it down. But of course, you can't see it in the camera, but you could move it down here so that you train it in. Your vision's down here. You're really stimulating parietal lobe function. And then with that in mind, now when you hear the snap, you're reaching way down, put it real low in that lower field of vision. And that really stimulates that where is it in parietal lobe function. The next would be the temporal lobes. Like I said, the lower part of the brain, right in the ear area and surrounding the ears too, up in this area here, and temples. So with that in mind, now that's going to be your upper field of vision. And of course, upper right stimulates lower, well, it crosses through and stimulates lower left, and upper left crosses through and stimulates lower right more. And then there, very important, you could literally use, again, this would be a lot of upper field of vision movement, but then a lot of sound. Snap, 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 snap there, snap, snap there, snap, whoops, almost missed there, there. Does that make sense? And the same thing for the other side. So what you're doing is right hand movement would be both hemispheres, but predominantly the left. And then left hand movement, both hemispheres, predominantly right. And that could be stimulating with the audio sound. And then if you wanted to, you could actually use different sounds to bring in, this is really cool, you bring in the frontal lobes to initiate or inhibit. This sound, you reach out and touch to it. This sound, you don't. And that's how you can stimulate. We did the frontal cortex last week. That's how you would stimulate the parietal lobes, and that's how you would stimulate the temporal lobes. And then, of course, vision is vision. That's what your occiput does. It's visual, and then it spreads out. It hits. Then you start discerning things. 17 is the main area. Then it goes into 18 and 19. Then it gets pushed around your brain to figure things out. Now, with that in mind, with brain function, we've covered everything stimulating those areas. And right now, my computer guy and I are working on a project that one of my children actually recommended. And we're going to come up with, we are producing a manual with a whole bunch of like stuff in it and for educational purposes only. And it'll give you something to take to your physicians if you ever have any questions. It's like I said, because I don't know the details of any of your cases, my information is only for informational purposes. I can't diagnose. Number one, it's against the law. Number two, I wouldn't feel right because I don't know enough about you, any of the individuals. But what I want to do now is I want to talk about the brain function and why it's so important we maintain a good community of friends. And like we have this community here and so many of the names on the Zoom part of it, I recognize and I see all the time. And I miss a couple people that I don't see in here. And that's important because the Quran, I'm going to give you two different locations, Surah 4, and I believe it's Surah 24, where it talks about the company you keep. So if it's okay with you, let me bring the Quran in. And we will start with, chapter 25, not 24. And I'll read it in English. You can go to chapter 25. The particular verse is verse 28. But chapter 25 It'll be, I'm going to read chapter 25, verses 24 to 29, so you get the whole context. (24 to 29). The dwellers of paradise, those who deserved it through their faith and righteousness, will on that day, talking about the day of judgment and resurrection, have the best abode and have the fairest of places for repose or relaxation. They're in heaven. And remember, the day when the heavens shall be rent asunder with clouds, and the angels will be sent down with a grand descending. The sovereignty on that day will be the true sovereignty belonging to the most beneficent, and it will be a hard day for the disbelievers, those who disbelieve in the oneness of Allah. And remember the day when the Zalim, the wrongdoers, polytheists, the oppressors, will bite at his hands. He will say, oh, would I had not taken, and remember the day when the Zalim will bite at his hands. He will say, oh, would that I had taken a path with the messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the disbelievers at his time, of his day, and further on. Ah, woe to me, would that I had never taken so-and-so as a friend. He indeed led me astray from the reminder after it had come to me, and Satan is ever a deserter to man in the hour of need. Let me read that to you again. Oh, woe to me, would that I had never taken so-and-so as a friend. So you can't even blame, on the day of judgment, you can't blame someone else for your actions. You chose to go along with that person. You chose to be misguided. You chose to be off the path of God. And quite dramatically, if you're being thrown in the hellfire. He indeed led me astray from the reminder after it had come to me, and Satan is ever a deserter to man in the hour of need. So everything that's off the right path is a path with Satan. Now we'll turn to chapter 4. And I will read from, I'm going to read 138 to 140. In particular, verse 140 is the one I'm prefixing. And then, if that's the right word, prefixing. And then we will jump down to 144 and give the continuation to 147. So I'll start with 138. Really great description here to match what we just came from. Give to the hypocrites the tidings that there is for them a painful torment. Those who take disbelievers for awliya, protectors or helpers in that, instead of believers, do they seek honor, power, and glory with them? Verily, then to Allah belongs all honor, power, and glory. And it has already been revealed to you in the book that when you hear the verses of Allah being denied and mocked at, then sit not with them until they engage in a talk other than that. But if you stayed with them, certainly in that case, you would be like them. Surely Allah will collect the hypocrites and disbelievers all together in hell. Now we'll turn to verse 144. O you who believe, take not for awliya disbelievers instead of believers. Do you wish to offer Allah a manifest proof against yourselves? Verily, the hypocrites will be in the lowest depths or grades of the fire. No helper will you find for them, except as a gentle reminder and a very strong reminder, but the love, the forgiveness. Allah tells us over and over again that his mercy outweighs his wrath. And let me say that again. No helper will you find for them, except those who repent from hypocrisy, do righteous good deeds, hold fast to Allah and purify their religion for Allah, though by worshiping none but Allah, and do good for Allah's sake only, not to show off. Then they will be with the believers, and Allah will grant to the believers a great reward. Why should Allah punish you if you thanked Him, repentance and belief, and have believed in Him? And Allah is ever all appreciative of good and all knowing. Now, just to be clear, because I get that question, why don't you just say God? I'm fine with that, because I do sometimes. It's just that the Quran is revealed in Arabic, and Allah is El-Ilah, meaning the God, the one God, the only God, however you want to translate it. So when I'm reading out of Quran, if it says Allah, I say Allah. But don't let that, for those of you who think I'm referencing something separate from the one true God, the creator of all of us, I'm not referencing something else. It's Allah. And it's not, and this isn't an apologetic response. I don't want you to be chased away because of the way you think of something, without me criticizing, because words are important to some of us. So it's very important to understand that when you disbelieve, well, let me start with real cool research. I read the abstract probably 6 months to a year ago. It was released a little before that, but I read an abstract about, and I think I mentioned it before, and that's why I pulled up these verses of awareness, lowering your gaze, being aware of your surroundings. And I really feel that awareness fits here, because there was a nice research project that tested multiple groups. And when they did the EEGs, and I can't remember whether it was just EEG or QEEG, but what they found was, well, QEEG really shows, that's what a lot of us in functional neurology use. Those brain waves, when people were working together, like it says, if you're in a group and they're bad talking, you're going to start to sync with those brain waves if you stay in that group. And the Quran warned us approximately 1500 years ago, that you will be counted among them. Well, how is that fair if you're a believer and they're non-believers? It is fair in the sense that modern science has now confirmed, because we can measure brain waves, when you're working within a group, we start to sync up. Our brain waves, SYNC, synchronize together. So it's hugely important to stay in a good circle of friends. You see with the people running America right now, the people up front, these guys and girls all say the same stuff. They talk the same way. Almost everything they say is exactly the opposite of what they mean. And they all say it together, literally, even when they're in separate rooms and separate weeks and separate shows, and it's all the same talk. They are really, really synchronized in their corruption. And as the Quran tells us in those verses right there, and there are many others, that the hypocrisy is going to lead them into the fire. And since they aren't working in God's path, they aren't working in the way we're supposed to be working, the empathy, taking care of each other, being honest, everything we're supposed to be doing as good human beings, not lying, not cheating, not genocide, not murder, little babies, little kids, everything that's going on in the world right now, separating families, killing families. Those guys are fine with it because those are the minds, those are the thoughts, that's where they are synchronized. All right. And the brain does that automatically. You start to think of, if you're in a room with a whole bunch of angry, depressed people, it only takes you a few minutes. You can walk in a great mood and you know it for yourself. You start to ramp right down. If nothing else, you're just miserable that you're in a room with miserable people, right? It's hard to be the good person in a bad group. Or it's real easy because they're so bad, but you don't feel so good after you leave the room. There are certain patients that require a lot of hard work, especially the patients that I would say we as a staff care more for their health than they care. I can make all the recommendations. I can share everything I've ever learned, but if you don't institute any of it, then you're going to maintain the same problems that brought you in. You are not deficient in my care, so to speak. Hopefully I've helped. But the idea is you are not genetically deficient in my care. What you have to do is start implementing, like in healthcare, you have to start implementing healthy lifestyle changes. You should exercise. We all know you should exercise. You should eat better. You can fill yourself up and live a great life on just protein, fruits, and vegetables. Like I said before, orange soda is not a fruit. All right. These fruit roll-up things, that's not fruit. I was looking for halal bouillon at this store I shop at, and beef and chicken. Mom placed an order with me, so I was trying to find halal bouillon, and I was looking for something that said halal, and then of course it has beef and chicken stock and et cetera, et cetera. I grabbed one container, and it was almost halal, except for everything in it said artificial. So even though it was beef flavored, they literally did not have beef anywhere in the list of ingredients. Everything was sodium and and MSG, monosodium glutamate, I think is the word for it. And lots of MSG because that was right at the top of the list. The sodium was at the top of the list. And then right in there, one of the first few things, it said artificial flavors. So yes, it didn't have beef in it, but why would I buy beef stock that has no beef in it whatsoever, but it still tastes like beef, right? So it's literally trying to do the right thing in this case, but to eat correctly, for example, I don't want to introduce all that artificial stuff. I might as well grab a bag of potato chips too, right? The idea is we already know this stuff. And how do we say, my kids and I, we get together and they all exercise. And one of the things my daughter was saying last weekend, I was down there, and it was one of the few times because they all work. And when I come into town, somebody might be working that day. So it's usually 3 out of 4 of the kids and me. And one of my daughters actually said, how can I, literally, the context of the conversation, the 2 girls, and well, all 4 of them were there, 2 boys, 2 girls. My one daughter was talking about how she had cut out the coconut water because one of the main ingredients of the coconut water that we all like was sugar. So I didn't buy any this time for them. And she said she cut it out because she's exercising, she's eating better, she cut out junk foods and everything. But when she realized that the coconut water had so much sugar in it, and she still had this little bit of a pooch as much as she was doing, she was mad at herself, and she told me not to buy her coconut water anymore. So I didn't. And then her sister actually said, how can we not work out? My father does, my mother does, and my 88-year-old grandmother joins my father in the garage when we work out before it gets too hot down here. But the idea is, think about the influence of the community and those minds. She actually said, I absolutely have to exercise. And then, of course, her brother's talking about he has finally started to gain weight, 6'4". He graduated at like 155 pounds. Now he's up to 170. He found a partner that wants to work out the same way in the same amount and he's eating well, eating better, and actually eating more. And Jose, a friend from work, same kind of scenario, and they're both into it. And when they're not at work, they're hitting the gym. So it literally, that like-mindedness, the people you're around motivate you to do things, either be good or be bad, like these verses in the Quran tell us. And science now confirms that your brains literally will link up and sync with the people and think like the people that are surrounding you. So you really have to monitor your relationships whether it's coworkers, whether it's friends, even some family. The Quran is against us cutting off the ties of the womb, kinship. And again, we're reminded that we only get 3 days to be angry at each other. Then you have to start making, then you can be held accountable or you're held at fault. So it's really important with all that in mind to that awareness of others now. And again, with our religious text, that awareness of others in the sense of how they can also influence us. Okay. Hugely important. And then of course, awareness, and that awareness now shifting into, what's conversation? What are we talking about? What's the mood? Executive function. Do we initiate leaving or maybe initiating a change of topic? Do we inhibit leaving and initiate a change of topic? Or do we inhibit talking and we initiate leaving the group? Because the group like our parents used to tell us, like I tell my kids, if you've got bad friends, you're going to get involved in bad stuff. You will be counted like the people you surround yourself with. And that's hugely important. And that's, again, now to finish up the treatments and different recommendations to strengthen different areas, that'll finish up tying all of the brain together with this awareness of self and the awareness of the others around you. And then, of course, everything else that you're doing. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about what we've talked about over the past, in particular, last 2 weeks, but any questions related to what we may have covered before?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Sister, what are the 3 words? Yeah.
Game, above, below.
Deep.
Ah!
Listen, sister, that was awesome though, because remember what I said last time. 2 is normal, right? Remembering all 3 is above normal, but you got 2. And what's really cool is you nailed them in order. So that, alhamdulillah, that's an added bonus on your level of intelligence. You did you did great. Not only did you get at least 2, but you also got 2 in correct order. Awesome.
Just because I wrote them down. Whenever I write something down, well, I don't know where that piece of paper is, by the way. I wrote it down and I have a photograph. I don't know why I said below. Deep. Oh,
well, what
I
happens
did put
is,
it. Look at my dyslexia. D and a B.
Above it. It ties together deep, below, and right behind the word. Coincidentally, I'm just guessing. Right behind the word above. If I say above, what do you say?
Below.
Right, done. So there's patterns of literally for all of us. There are, and that's one that everybody out there. If I say above, you say, and they all go below. If I say high, you say low. Right. So there are patterns and associations. And the minute you hesitated, you followed the normal pattern, if that makes sense. Which is cool. Yeah. You nailed 2 and you got them in order. Now, before I cut you off, was there something that you were going to say?
The exercising, I'm trying to get better with. I've been taking my vitamins, alhamdulillah. I've been reading, I've been writing. But I used to be an athlete. I used to play basketball and I used to be very athletic. But I don't know what happened. I think I do better when I work out with a group of people or a partner because after that, I just am not motivated to like go work out or anything.
Well, you're a basketball player, so that that makes sense in the sense that it requires an individual skill set, some individual effort, but you're part of a team. And a lot of people really enjoy exercising with a friend and exercising in a group. It's literally, how do you say? What's the word I'm looking for? It's really
like it had accountability. Like
yes. There you
I
go.
knew if I show up, my friend was like, "Why didn't show up?" Like we held each other accountable.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I like that.
Yes, and then I would even suggest that you are probably, that would also encourage me to think. I'm just guessing. That would encourage me to think that you might be more right-brained and you enjoy the interaction as well as the exercise.
Yes.
So I tend to swing the other way when it comes to that. I can exercise by myself. I can exercise by myself because I literally now am trying to move into a left brain and be more structured so I can get some of these things done that I've talked to you guys about. And I had to train it in. I used to only work out with when a partner would call me and say, you know, McBride, are you coming? McBride, are you picking me up? McBride, I'm almost there to pick you up. Let's go to the gym. That was me too. But what could you do? And for everyone, if you make suggestions, sister, what could you do to make it more of what can I say? A personal, how would you increase your personal accountability? Do you have any ideas or suggestions that might work for you?
To things that I know
You're already doing.
doing, yes.
Well, the problem with having something in your bedroom is that's your bedroom. You shouldn't, there should be, your bedroom should be set up for rest and relaxation. We're done.
Okay.
And, spousal activity, not to be,
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be anything else in there, to be honest with you. It's all on, I'm sure there's one or two research articles out there, but almost all the research I've ever read says nothing but marital activities and sleep in the bedroom. Anything that encourages anything else is wrong for the bedroom because it sets up for a conflict for what you're supposed to be doing there. So here, the exercise, in your case, it makes sense that you're in the bedroom and man, you're just not motivated. It's just not the thing to do. I would actually recommend that you set the rowing machine in another obtrusive, like it's almost interfering, but you set it somewhere else that it's highly visual and it can be done without changing your daily behavior. Or if you wanted to do push-ups, I think I really like those squat thrusts, what they call burpees today. I really think those are a cool overall body activity, and you could add a push-up to that in the sense that you're doing a squat, you're kicking your legs back, hold the plank, do your push-up, come back. Then you're using the front to bring the legs up, and then you use the legs in your core to stand up straight again. And you can even come up into a jump with your hands up, or come up into a jumping jack so that you bring even more shoulders into it. I really like, if you're going to pick an exercise and there's no back issues or no physical concerns, I like squat thrusts for a single activity, if that makes sense.
The burpees are, what's the difference between burpees and squat thrust?
As far as I know, it's just the spelling.
Oh, okay. It's the same thing?
Yes, I don't know how it changed, but now whenever I see it, they say burpees, and I can't figure that out. Squat thrusts always made sense to me when I was growing up, and we had to do that thing for the president's physical fitness test in elementary school and stuff. We call them squat thrusts. And I think those are a really, really nice, well-rounded activity to hit darn near global. The only thing you're not doing is the pulling it.
And
so how many should it be? What's a good amount?
Man, I like your goal of 100 a day. My numbers are, when I talk to my patients and I talk to other people, I like the number you work up to. Your first goal is to be able to knock out 11 of something. There's no science, it's a personal preference in the sense that everybody says, oh, 10. That last one is the hardest one. Why not do 11? It's just a personal thing with me. I keep my numbers in odd numbers, and I do 11, I do 13, I do 15. I go up to glute bridges and hip bridges. For high reps, I'll shoot around 25 to 50. Well, that's an even number. But the idea is I'll be 25, 35, or 50, if that makes sense. So I use a lot of odd numbers because I think it's just personal, and I use odd numbers.
Okay. We have a question from YouTube. Sister here says, I would like to know which side of the brain makes us fall into others' negative energy that you mentioned.
Usually, the empathy side or the other awareness side is the right hemisphere. That's the awareness side. And it's both internally aware, because you don't know what it means when they smile or when they're happy. You don't know unless you feel happiness, right? You don't know what that is. But it's usually a right hemispheric issue. But at the same time, not to contradict it, and at the same time, left brain, left hemisphere can lead you that way if you're a strong left brain and you have a goal that you want to achieve. For example, the South African and the re-elected guy, they have very much similar goals in terms of they want everybody to know who they are. Bad press is better than no press. And they also want to accumulate as much as they can. They just want to be known for this high profile accumulation. It's already been proven that the re-elected guy, he's never had $10 billion in his life, but he used to use that number all the time. Lie, cheat, and steal just to appear as something. And the other guy has more money than darn near everybody, right? So, or he's right up there. And what can you do with that other than say you have it? And we know what that leads to. I just read it to you about corruption and being led astray. And when you're on the day of judgment, they may not believe and they may fear, or they won't fear until they face it, right? You and I know. So the right brain, if you're really sensitive to others and you want to stay a part of the group, that's how you can see, if I can use what's going on right now around the world, you have the majority of a whole country agreeing with and allowing genocide. And it's their right. It's their, like, who does that? Who kills children and says that's okay? But you have a national identity that has evolved around never forget, never again. It's a fear-based mentality. And we've already talked about fight or flight. When you move into fear, whether you're trying to get away or you stay and fight, you are irrationally aggressive. When fear takes over, you are irrationally aggressive. And in one sense of the word, if it saves your life and you're trying to get away and oh my gosh, you run faster than you've ever been, or you hear about all these stories about the mother lifted the car off the trapped child or did stuff, right? That fear initiated just irrational strength. You can't even explain it, but it got it done. Now imagine if that national identity is based on fear and corruption. What does that then encourage in your with the culture, with the society, with the people you surround yourself with, that national identity? And really cool, you got to look up Mirsad Krajestaric, his book on identity. I can't remember the exact title, phenomenal book about Bosnia and Serbia and what happened with that attempted genocide. But the idea is that imagine you've got people who are probably super sensitive. Not everybody's left or right in the whole country. You've probably got people that are super sensitive, super influenced, and the pressure of their community, the pressure of their family, the pressure of all of this going on. That's why the news is skewed so much to one side. The more information out there, right, the more fearful they can make these people, the more sensitive they are. They start responding to corrupted leadership. Then you've got the others who are very left and very patterned, and they want to accumulate everything, and anything. So then imagine now that grab, that, oh, it's ours. It's easy for them to accept that because they're accumulators anyway, if I can make it that minimal. So it's actually, for the sister's question, it could be either side. You'd want to look at other things if you're thinking about yourself. But it tends to be, if it's one-on-one, it tends to be a right brain person is kind of easily influenced because they're sensitive enough to others' opinions, and they may be sensitive enough to, like, several friends. You may hesitate, you don't want to, but your friends keep pushing you, so you do it to stay as part of the group. Gangs work that way, cults work that way. They pressure you to make you feel excluded from others, but make you feel included there. And so it tends to be right, but it's easy to see how a left brain can. If I can help you achieve whatever goal, maybe I can corrupt it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit until you're doing crazy stuff, thinking you're going after your goal, but I've actually got you doing my stuff too, if that makes sense, if that answers the sister's question. It could be either side.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm sorry, let me take this. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, brother, with the burpees. I'm sorry, I keep on.
Oh, go ahead. Absolutely.
I have to kick out, or I can just do the jump and then squat.
Man, I'm fine with that too. The only thing I like about
the whole body workout if I do that.
Oh, yeah, you will. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
I have a lot of patience about that, specifically about what you're saying. Half of that, I have them do half. Most people, no matter what shape, right, pretend it's the worst of the worst. And I have patients coming off of surgeries and stuff, and of course we err on the side of caution. And I'm a chiropractor and functional neurology stuff. I err on the side of caution first. One of the safest things you can do is what I call a chair squat or a box squat in the gym. People can sit down in their chair and they can stand up out of their chair, can't they? Because they can go into the kitchen and get something to eat or drink. They can go potty. They can go from the reclining chair, watching TV all day, to into the bed and go to bed at night and sit on the edge of the bed or whatever takes place. Most people can sit down and stand up. So particularly with when I replaced my knees several years ago, I did them both at the same time. So I didn't even have a strong leg to stand on.
Wow.
The idea, can you, right? I mean, that was crazy. It's a good thing I did them both at the same time because I hurt so bad. Doing it a second time would have been hard. But the idea is, think about that. I could sit down and I could stand up, and PT had me doing that all the time. The woman that worked with me, because I had them both done, so they came to the house for me. And they had me walking and all that stuff, which is really cool. But there were lots of squats because there's some great research for the core also. Every time you go to stand up, you have to brace your midsection to keep your torso, to help tie your torso into your glutes and your legs as you move up out of the chair. Does that make sense? And whenever you sit down, hopefully you're not just and there's no core involved. It's I sit down and I sit back. So imagine pretend you and your family like a favorite TV show and it's on for an hour. And if it's not streaming, or even these streaming channels have commercials now. This is what you could do, sister. Rather than doing the squat we just talked about, practice every time a commercial comes on, once a day. Every time the commercial comes on, you got an hour-long favorite show. It starts. During the introductions, you knock out as many squats as you can until the show starts. Then you sit down and watch the TV. Then at that first 10 to 15 minute mark, you knock out as many squats as you can. Sit in the chair, stand up, sit in the chair, stand up, sit in the chair, stand up, sit in the chair, stand up. At first, you may be using your hands to help boost up. Eventually, your legs will get strong enough that you don't have to. If you get fatigued, stay standing. Then the show comes back on, you sit down, you're on your third set of squats. Even if you drop down to 5 or 10, then sit down and rest during the show, not interfering with anything, not distracting family members. Your child sees you doing this. This is something they see. Like my kids talk about their grandmother. They know she exercises. So it's in there. Then the next commercial, exercise, rest, end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That way, it's like you said, I like the fact that you attached the previous exercise attempts to things that right there that you do all the time. That's a good way to form good habits. You don't necessarily have to start a good habit by getting rid of stuff. What you can do is start a good habit by attaching it to a pre-existing habit. And if you have a favorite show or you have a favorite activity with you and the family or friends or whatever, if it's a lot, then attach an exercise habit to it. Attach a drinking water habit to it. Instead of drinking flavored anything, drink water at dinner and lunch or whatever. Drink during the day, only drink water and have something with flavor with meals, or however you want to do it. But you attach your good habit to a pre-existing habit, and it's so much easier to do. That's why I say you shouldn't do it in the bedroom, because literally when I go to bed over there, man, you train it in. When I'm out, I am out like so fast. That's the habit I have. There's nothing else there, right? So that habit for you to exercise at the foot of your bed is got to be hard, because the minute you hit the bed, you know what I'm saying? So I would actually attach it to the TV habit, or the before meal habit, or as soon as the kids leave from home, you knock out a bunch of squats. Squats are a great activity. There's some great research releasing growth hormone that stimulates growth and health. The larger the muscle groups, the more the growth hormone release. So squats with leg exercises, phenomenal. Oh my gosh. That reminds me, I apologize to everyone. I said my son and I would make the video of lower back stuff. And then he got sick. And then I forgot. I'll put that video together, and hopefully I'll have that there. And then I'll try to put a video of correct posture for squats also, sister.
Okay, and Sean, you know what? I saw another squat. It's called an Asian squat.
Oof.
You know how they you know how you've seen Asian people and My husband talks about people in Morocco, they have this certain squat that they do things with, and they stay in that position when they're like shelling peas or combing through things.
And their behinds are so low.
So low, I
they're
know.
Almost sitting on their heels.
I wish I can do that. I've been trying to do that.
I gotta tell you, literally, and I'm not going to pretend I'm holding weights with this. To finish my leg workout, I literally try to sit, and I do it. Mashallah, I literally take my behind as far below my knees as I can. And remember though, sister, you want to make sure you don't do what they call a butt wink, meaning at the bottom, you'll hit a certain spot maybe that your behind wants to tuck under, okay? You shouldn't, you can pay attention for that feeling. You want to keep a slight good posture arch. You don't have to exaggerate, a good posture arch, and just squat to that depth. And for most of us, it's at parallel or a little bit below. And then what you do is you try to train that deeper and deeper and deeper with body weight, and try not to let your behind, if it was set like this, and here's your arch, and then you try not to let this part of it tuck under as you hit the bottom, if that makes sense. But as you get better at it, everything will get longer and stronger, and you'll be able to get real deep without that butt wink, as they call it in the gym. Yeah, but doing squats, just attach that to a good habit, sister. You've got the right idea. It's perfect. Get your daughter to do them. Your husband, if he knows those Moroccans are doing it, you better remind him. He doesn't want to end up having all these Moroccan brothers making fun of him because he can't do it anymore because he became too Americanized.
I'll tell you.
There's a question.
And if he's older and bigger than me, don't let him find me, okay? Because I'm not trying to be funny. Yeah.
The sister from YouTube said the left side is sort of manipulation or laziness, just doing nothing but giving directions. The right side is active body movement process. Is that how it is?
Yes and no. Absolutely. Yes and no. And let me tell you why. The right side, if we can go in, what she could also do, because we did a couple of weeks, I think, of talks on just hemisphericity. You could Google up or search up, whatever your search engine is, search up hemisphericity. And what you'll see is, or if you could point her to your lists of right hemisphere does this, left hemisphere does that. What you have is the right hemisphere is more in charge of large muscle group activity, more shoulders and hips and your legs and like athletes, athletic stuff. And then the left brain is more in charge of the detailed movement. But they blend. Don't think it's just one-sided, but there's strengths and weaknesses in each hemisphere. So what happens is, I'm right-handed, so obviously there's a lot of left hemisphere activity, and then the right hemisphere is involved because pretend I'm about to write something up here. So I've got to use my shoulder, I've got to use my chest, a little bit of back, I've got to use all the deltoids, my biceps to hold my hand right, and then my left brain is kicking in to do the fine detailed handwriting. So both hemispheres are doing the writing. Now, when we talk about, I'm not a big fan of the word lazy, in the sense that right hemisphere people, kids, boys, my brothers and I, when we were growing up, my father used to embarrass us. He wore a suit and a jacket and tie to work every day. Especially during the summer, we'd be told to cut the grass before he got home. He'd roll in, it's still sunshine. He's literally worked all day. And rather than yell at us, because we had like 3 acres or something in upstate New York, rather than yell at us, we'd hear the car pull in, and then we'd hear riding lawnmowers start, and Dad is out there cutting the grass. All he would do, and my neighbors used to make fun of us. Your father's out there, and it was embarrassing, and it worked. But the idea is, and we were described before, the McBride boys, lazy boys, so like whatever they say. You guys are so lazy, even your father does the grass, right? And my mother wanted to kill us. And without getting her in trouble, there were times when I think she tried. But the idea is that it wasn't necessarily lazy. We were all, if I can say, we were all athletic. We were all right. We were literally right brain dominant. And right brains athletically were very self-aware of proprioception and bodily awareness and position awareness. And as athletes, positioning and high level or low level, you're aware of other athletes, and you're aware of positioning and angles and going to catch the pass, football, basketball, and the guy throwing the pass anticipates your speed and the angles of the other athletes on the field and your abilities. And do I throw it over the shoulder? Do I throw it in? Whatever. Okay. Large muscle group activity. But at the same time, there's fine detailed work, and there's also pattern seeking. So even though this side looks like, oh my God, if that's the athletic side, if that's the activity side, that's also what we find is procrastination, forgetfulness, and avoidance, which can all appear to be lazy. And it's not so much lazy as much as now we jump to the left side. We decide it's important, so we initiate. I can speak from experience. I grew up very right brain dominant. It was me. And I studied in high school, in college, my undergraduate stuff. I was the guy that studied at the last minute. Now I know all the research you don't retain it as well. You can pass the test, but you don't retain it as well. Last minute, pulling all-nighter. Last minute, pulling all-nighter. Last couple days, pull all-nighters, right? So when I went to chiropractic school, I realized that was a problem. And if I'm going to be a doctor, I need to remember things from school forever. I mean, forever. Signs, symptoms, indications, contraindications. So I planned out, and at the time I didn't understand the functional neurology, but all of this, right? I planned out, and I studied every day. I've studied, and since, like I told you before, we lived off campus. So I'd go to campus, I had my breakfast, I'd go to my class, I'd go to the library, I'd study a little bit about what I had just learned or what I needed to know for my next class, because I didn't feel like driving back to the apartment and then driving back to campus in an hour or so. So I studied all the time. And that is the initiation side, right? And I planned. I actually, here's the future, the goal of graduating from chiropractic school. Now, here's the side that tells me what steps to take and starts looking for that. Now, this is the side that inhibits things. Okay, I could go home and take a quick nap for 30 minutes, but then that doesn't make sense because it's going to take me 15 minutes to drive home. It's going to take me 15 minutes to drive back. If I sleep for 30, I'm sprinting to the car and I'm late to class. This side then initiates, right? I inhibit going home, but I initiate going to the library rather than just sitting out in the sun and relaxing and climbing around with friends. Does that make sense? So it's not so much a lazy or a energetic side. It's more, hopefully they're working together and you get the big idea and you set this goal for achieving this in a year, a month, a week, a day, or this is what, like I said, I really trained in, and we just had a talk in the office. I did the last 2 talks for our group meeting about goal setting. And I literally goal set every day. And that means, when does that start? It starts tonight, so that I don't let my left brain take over and I procrastinate, and then tomorrow I miss things or I rush and I can't squeeze anything in. I'll plan it tonight, and I know what time I'm going to get up. I know I'm going to do some more typing tomorrow morning before I go to work. Then I'm going to eat breakfast and go to work. Well, I mean, I'm praying first, and then all of this stuff happens. Then I go to work. Then I go to Juma. Then I come back from Juma, and then I come home, and I'm going to pack because my son and I are going out of town to meet a family friend because we're trying to do a project together. So literally all of that, my tomorrow was planned. Does that make sense? So for it to be just one side or the other, they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. If you don't have a picture of what you want to accomplish, then your left brain never takes over to do anything. And it will just sit there and wait for the right brain to give it permission. When they work together normally, sister, the idea is that the right brain reads the room, it's safe to do this, then the left brain kicks in and initiates and does everything to achieve what the right brain wanted to get done. Whether it's friendships, whether it's family, whether it's kids and homework. Do I help my children with my homework before I sit down and relax? The kids are doing great. Okay, so I'm going to sit down and relax. Or if you're married, you're talking to your spouse and you're initiating. You use your right brain to see what's out there. Then once you see what's out there, you use your left brain to achieve that goal. That's how they work together. If you are lazy and not doing things, then you may be actively avoiding it because you don't want to be excluded from a group. You don't want to make a bad decision. You don't want to be embarrassed, or it's not a priority for your survival at this moment. That's all right brain. Once the left brain kicks in, it's initiating doing something, right? It's trying to achieve the goals you set, or just sit down, watch TV, and take things in until you get a goal to set, until it's time to go to bed. That's how they work together. So it's not just one or the other achieving or being lazy. It's both working together to avoid appearing lazy is the way to think of it.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Okay, let me make sure I got them all before I start. Okay, so I think I got them all. Inshallah, this was a very, as always, all these classes are the best. Yeah, everybody loves these classes, so we got so many people in here. Yeah, so inshallah, just to remind everyone, because I got some new people that just joined. And by the way, for those of you who are new, go to our YouTube channel, click on the playlist. This is under the playlist for Dr. Daniel Abdurrahan McBride. It's called The Human Brain. And you can get caught up to date by listening to the previous classes where he breaks down the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere of the brain. All that's listed. It's in, order, newest to the oldest is at the bottom. It works as the newest to the oldest. Okay. That way you could get caught up where he breaks down and defines the different parts of the brain. Okay. And this class is held every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will put the shorts out. Yes, brother Abdurrahman too. Your name's Abdurrahman too. Alhamdulillah. Yes, those are the shorts that you saw on Instagram. Yes, he's the one in the shorts. Alhamdulillah. Yes, and I'll put these shorts out too. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for joining and participating. Yes, just to remind you guys, Brother Yusef's class is canceled tomorrow. Yeah, the brother, his is tomorrow, but he's canceled. Yeah, his is canceled for the next 2 weeks. But I'll put these shorts out tonight, inshallah. So I want to thank you all for joining and participating. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. I'll be back at 9:30, inshallah, with the Mecca Siddiq Tafsir class. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Yeah.